Iris, I need to talk with you. It's about the dog. I wanted to ask if you could take him.
No, I can't. No.
This is what Walter wanted after he died.
Naomi Watts' life gets turned upside down by the loss of a friend and the arrival of a new one in The Friend, and a Stranger Things cast member makes his directorial debut in Hell of a Summer. But first, let's look at that Minecraft movie. And the only reason to really call this thing a movie in the first place is because the word is in the title. Having neither the colorful life of the Super Mario Brothers movie or the inspired wit of Dungeons and Dragons, Den of Thieves, this whole thing kind of falls between the intersection of selling merch and cynicism. Perhaps the biggest flaw in a movie full of them is that it claims to be about being creative for survival. The irony there is that if it were true, this movie would be dead within minutes. The movie follows a group of characters. One of them is Jack Black's Steve, who as a kid always dreamed of being a miner for some reason. He eventually did enter a mine, and it transported him to a place called Overworld, which has the cool feature of allowing anyone to create tools and design buildings, weapons, etc. from their imagination. But the Overworld faces threat from the Netherworld, which is a dark, disturbing underworld ruled by a pig witch of some kind. Both worlds feature a boxy look to the people, animals, trees, mountains, and shrubbery, and there is other magic to unlock here, like a crafting table that can turn random metal crap into anything you need. In what makes up most of the movie, the pig witch sends her minions after the good guys, and everyone is after some sort of glowing orb that allows for ultimate power. When the movie is in motion, it comes off the best because at least then you don't have to think about it. There's some decent action scenes involving mechanical wings, another featuring a boxcar going through a mountain cave, and the weirdest looking boxing match. Yet much of the time the actors look like they're questing through a green screen world, one where the dangers and thrills all look about as artificial as the world they inhabit. Director Jared Hess, whose Napoleon Dynamite-isms very much lean into all of this with an equally lax character approach. They're all over-the-top clowns, yet not very funny ones. Jack Black probably comes off the best, brazen, bellowing, and kind of funny as an adventure seeker who looks both too old and rotund to ever be considered one. He's soon partnered with Jason Momoa, who looks like a pimp from the dark side of town of Barbie's Dreamland. He sounds like Macho Man Randy Savage and tries very, very hard to be a doofus, but not a lot of it lands. I mean, the wit just isn't there. Just ask Danielle Brooks, who plays a realtor, but also an alpaca farmer who has an alpaca on the back of her car. Don't even think about it. She's playing a character who arrives in Overworld getting plopped on her ass. Her big line is, my butt, and then she kind of disappears from the movie for some reason. And then there's Jennifer Coolidge playing a school vice principal. She never goes through the portal, and thus we wonder why she continues to have scenes in this movie. There is some subplot that could have been completely excised about her dating one of the block people from the Overworld, but the movie hardly ever justifies cutting away to spending so much time on that. There are quite a few actors here, actually, who, when they're not on screen, we kind of forget all about them. That goes for two children who get sucked into the world along with the adults. You probably say I've never played the game, and maybe nostalgia plays a great deal of the role in enjoying this, but even then, it plops everyone in a story so formulaic, in a comedy so juvenile, and a fantasy that hardly has much heft to really matter. This might be a curiosity to gamers, younger kids might enjoy it for the kineticism, but this really is weightless entertainment best enjoyed by the comatose, or people lulled into a near comatose state by weed. For the rest of us, one can only lament that this is the kind of crap that makes money nowadays. That's why I'm going D+. But let's move on to a much better movie. If The Friend doesn't wind up being one of the best movies of the year, at least it will be one of the most lovable. This pleasant, prosaic flick, based on the book by Sigrid Nunez, stars Naomi Watts and Bill Murray, though one of these people is only on screen for a couple scenes, and the other one is so good that it hardly matters. It's Watts, who plays a New York writer named Iris, who has been hit with writer's block ever since the suicide of her friend and teacher Walter, played by Murray. She is surprised to discover then that his dog has been left to her. He's a Great Dane named Apollo, who is almost as big as a horse, and it's an offer she finds hard to refuse. The bonding between the two will take some getting used to. He'll of course be standoffish and difficult and mess up her apartment, but then there are scenes where he shows great dedication to his former owner, corner, even sitting on an old shirt of Walter's to protect it. Apollo is played by a dog named Bing, and it's another terrific performance in the film. He's defensive, he's grief-stricken, and he's mourning, just like her, and you can see this all in the dog's eyes. It will take a while to soften, and when he kind of sort of does, walking over to Iris in the middle of the night, the scene plays as beautifully haunting. Both are trying to keep Walter's memory alive in their own way, but it seems like the dog is doing a better job of allowing himself to feel than she is. Watts is very good playing a character too concerned with rolling with the punches, carrying herself with dignity and grace when deep down she's harried, stressed, and confused over all that's transpired. Her gradual progression toward dealing with all this, and Apollo's help, is the true gem of this premise. The film has all sorts of different subplots as well, some concerning Walter's many wives, while another revelation has everything to do with the complicated relationship between Walter, a famous novelist, and Iris, who is writing a book about him. One clever scene has Iris facing him as if in a dream, calling him out for the turmoil he's caused and what he's left her with. Very little of what happens in the film is stuff we haven't seen before, and it can get bogged down with lethargic pace and a surplus of supporting characters from Carla Gugino and Dad, Constance Wu, and Felix Salas, all doing nice work but still stretching it a bit thin. Still, the main draw here is Watts and Bing, who do incredible work together. You leave the film believing that empathy can pass between two beings in a nonverbal way, and that one can have great influence on another. This is not a morose, depressing film, this is not a sappy film, and it's not one that goes for cheap laughs. Instead, it's very sweet, it's introspective, it's lightly funny, and it's winning in its ability to send us on our way with a couple tears and uplifting smiles. That's why I'm going B+, guys. And lastly, we have Hell of a Summer, which might seem like it's going to be another mindless slasher flick set within a summer camp, but you would be surprised how witty and funny it actually is. This is one of the better newer comedies I've seen in a while. It's written and directed by Stranger Things actor Finn Wolfhard and his partner Billy Burke. These two young guys don't exactly have the most consistent of directorial hands, but they have affection for the slasher genre and a good way with characters and satire. It all takes place during a counselor's weekend as they assemble to have some fun before campers come and make them have to be responsible. There are all variety of types here, from the conceited hot chick, the guy with the nut allergy who's really aggressive about it, the practicing vegan, the theater kid, the anxious trust fund kid ready to fall for the first girl who shows him any affection, his jackass best friend who may or may not jump the fire pit on a bike. A lesser movie might have made them all one-dimensional idiots, but here they have fun personalities. They have little anxieties, flaws, and tics you can relate to. They clash with each other, riff with each other, and what seems to make them most endearing is that they all seem to be going through their own little coming-of-age dramas. The cast is very good here, from Wolfhard, Burke, Abby Quinn, and DeFaro Woon Atai from Reservation Dogs. The one who steals scenes is Fred Heschinger as Jason, a 24-year-old with Peter Pan syndrome who doesn't seem to realize how dorky and awkward it is to still be jazzed about being a camp counselor at his age. But Heschinger plays Jason's love of camp so sweetly, so wholesomely and jovially that it's hard to judge him and more than enjoyable to watch him become the group leader when the killings start. As far as being a horror movie, I mean, there are a few bloody deaths, but nothing that's really going to shock anybody. There are also nods to Gen Z and clout chasing, but both of these things, the film gets a little bit more erratic and uneven in what it wants to do, what it wants to say, and even in the laughs. Still, the result here is pretty unexpected. If it doesn't work fully as horror, it at least comes off as a consistently fun thriller. It's very eager to please, and it has some of the biggest laughs I've had in a new film in a while. I'm very curious to see what Wolfhard and Burke do next. Ditto for Heschinger, who has been very likable in the few roles that I've seen him in. This movie is a good time, and it's worth seeking out. That's why I'm going B, guys. But that is my opinion. I'd love to hear yours. Let me know down below there. I will be back next week, guys, with reviews for Warfare, The Amateur, and Drop. But until then, I thank you guys for watching, and I hope you do come back again. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.